Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. Now of course it's a Friday, which means we have a brand new set of weekly challenges to go ahead and complete. And of course bundled in with that is a brand new special event as always. We get one of these each and every week, and this week it's a returning theme of the Honda Civic One Make. And well, Polyphony have finally done something incredibly special with this one, and almost secretly. So let's go ahead and find this event. Now the first thing we need to do is head over to Asia, go over to Japan and go to Tokyo Expressway. Now if we scroll all the way to the end of the ridiculous amount of events here, we're going to find the brand new special event for this week. Now as you can see from the outside, it looks no different from any special event whatsoever. When we click on it, the same can be said as well. It's just a Honda Civic One Make, which is going to be a 4-lap sprint race around Tokyo Expressway east clockwise. Now one thing that is a little bit different is the fact that we're going to be starting 12th on a 20-car grid, but sometimes this is just the way that the races are laid out. Now if we look at the regulations and specified cars, it's open to pretty much every Honda Civic in the game, so anything from the FL5 to the EK, EG, EF, etc. The rewards, there's nothing out of the ordinary here either, and your main rival cars are going to be a different bunch of Civics. So really this is a very standard looking affair. So upon loading into the race, you can see that nothing really seems out of the ordinary. You've got a few Civics behind you, you've got the rest of the grid in front of you. It seems like you're just starting slap bang in the middle of this very Kanjo themed Honda Civic race. And of course we're at the Tokyo Expressway, which means that weather is going to be playing a bit of a role. Sometimes it's in more wet conditions, sometimes it'll then dry up and then start getting even more wet again. Really nothing seems too out of the ordinary. So at this point in time, we're just going to go through the race as normal to see really where the surprise comes in. So as you can see, we're going to start doing a few overtakes. Again, there's a few damp conditions and we saw one of the Hondas suffer from that going into the first corner as he gets a little bit out of shape and slaps into the barrier. But again, that's to be expected with the AI and the whole wet weather. But in terms of our battle, we're running in 12th and we're going to start making our positions very, very quickly, picking off the rest of the Hondas one by one in this very street race type themed event. So again, nothing seems too out of the ordinary. You've got a pack of Hondas running at Tokyo, street racing in the night. Really, it's a pretty cool theme as is, but it's only going to get better from here. So we're going to start making a few more moves as we work our way to the front of the grid. We also see after a little bit of a downpour in the early stages of the race, towards the end of lap 1, there's getting more grip as the road starts to dry out. So the cars are getting much quicker overall. And by the time we get to the beginning of the third lap, we're now starting to battle away for podium positions. However, one thing you may have noticed is that there's a string of cars that have completely dropped back ever since the first lap. If you've been keeping your eye on that track map, you may have noticed that something seems a little bit out of place with them. And at first I put it down to the actual weather itself and the AI just being a little bit clumsy. But as I rounded this corner here, all of a sudden there's a Toyota Hiace on the track, which makes absolutely no sense considering this is a Honda Civic One Make, which seems to be themed around street racing. But it seems that Polyphony took street racing to the next level and actually did something that the Gran Turismo community is known for doing, and that is adding NPC cars into their races to act as traffic. Yes, Polyphony have finally took some of those suggestions on board and actually added traffic into one of their races in game. We had the likes of the Hiaces, we also have some Toyota Priuses and an Atenza. In fact, all of the cars on the grid that were dropping back from P15 onwards were there to act as NPC traffic vehicles. In fact, I would say as you get to the halfway point of this race, it really gives this race itself an entirely different feel from anything else that has taken place in GT7 so far, and they hid them really well. If we look back on the grid at the starting line, from P15 onwards, as mentioned, is where all of the NPC vehicles are, and they hid them so well by putting them so far back from the rest of the grid and then just allowing them to naturally drop off. And again, what seemed like a bunch of Honda Civics just getting caught out in the weather was actually these traffic type vehicles which were there to act as rolling roadblocks in the latter stages of the event. The great thing is they genuinely do act as a great bit of NPC traffic, with of course the rest of the AI and the player having to navigate around them whilst continuing on with this street race. It added a great spin on the race itself, and at first when I took a look at this event I really thought, okay, we've got Tokyo Expressway twice in a row, and I genuinely didn't have any idea until I got to that third lap that Polyphony had just snuck in a bit of traffic. I really have to give props to Polyphony here, because this feels like a nice little call out and shout out to those players that host a lot of custom races and open multiplayer lobbies who've been doing this kind of thing since the likes of Gran Turismo 5, 6 and of course 7. This is an incredibly popular thing to do in both custom races and open multiplayer lobbies, where you'll spawn in a bunch of the kind of NPC type vehicles, or you'll have some drivers racing them whilst others tackle the kind of tracks and stuff like that, especially the city ones, in more kind of high powered street race type vehicles. I guess they're kind of known as the sort of role players of the Gran Turismo fan base, and it's great to see them kind of getting a bit of a shout out in a more official capacity, with Polyphony finally sort of taking on board what those guys do and putting it in an official special event. So honestly, if you was going to play Gran Turismo 7 this week, I fully recommend just giving this a go. It really is a different twist on what could have been a very cliche formula, and as I mentioned, it puts an entirely different twist on how the player and the AI actually have to approach this. Of course, they do have these vehicles that are going to be sort of blocking off the road and driving like typical NPCs, so it really adds this awesome different feel to it in how you're going to approach them, how you're going to get past them, and how you're actually going to go on to win the street race. And I hope Polyphony takes the motivation from this event and puts it into more of them across GT7 in the future. Anyway, that's going to be it from me today for this video. I just wanted to make a highlight of this because I thought it was absolutely awesome and it really caught me by surprise. Let me know, did it catch you by surprise? Did you enjoy it? Do you think it adds a nice little different spin to what could have been a very cliched type street race? Anyway guys, I'll see you in the next one. A huge shout out to all of my channel members on the screen now. Take care. Peace.